Welcome to The Foundry, where leaders are forged daily. Each week we investigate themes of leadership, entrepreneurship, and mindset with some of the greatest minds in real estate. And now, the data scientist of real estate, George Roberts.
Welcome back, entrepreneurs. Today we have Alex Cogan, founder and president of Ashland Capital. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Hey, George.
Well, yeah, interesting. And then your developers are not always the great property managers or operators. So I believe you probably have multiple experiences where you're able to step in there and do an operations play.
100%. Yeah. You know, and then I'm sure you and the audience has heard of a lot of these, but, utilities contracts, we scrutinize those to try to get the very best. In fact, I just authorized a 40% savings in internet on our asset in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I mean, a couple $1,000 a month has a huge impact on your NOI. So we scrub and we, negotiate those. Water savings, of course, none of this is rocket science. It's pretty common things you have to look out for that are opportunities that the current ownership is not taking advantage of.
Right, but it's all great administration. Being able to do all those things together, that's huge incrementally.
That's right. And then that can go the opposite direction. I think there's some pretty savvy sellers out there that'll reduce their expenses and when they're going to market, and it's a very strategic plan that over the 9 months prior that they're going to be preparing for sale, and their expenses are too low. They're running way lean, and you've got to underwrite. You're finding efficiencies in one sense, but you're building and padding a budget in the other direction with some opportunities. So
I hope the younger underwriters are listening, because that's gold right there. Well, let's see. Before I talk about some of the facets of real estate that you're involved in, some of these really cool niches, I just want to ask you about Tiger 21. So this is a group of high net worth individuals that you're a part of. And I don't know if you've spoken about it on podcasts before. I haven't heard it yet. So
I haven't.
The story.
You're the first person to ask.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool group. I wasn't really looking, but I kind of stumbled upon it. Mm-hmm. So there's about 2,000 Tiger 21 members across the world, primarily in America. And there's usually, 1, 2, 3 groups within, most of the major cities, 12 to 15 people per group. And it's, there's multiple buckets. A lot of the guys have had exits. So they're in kind of wealth preservation mode and kind of how to transition from being an operator of some business, making a lot of money, to selling that business and then finding themselves with a lot of capital and transitioning into an investor rather than an operator. They're starting to, really play that role. So that's part of the group. I mean, I kind of fit in both worlds. I had a good exit, but I'm still building, another company, and I'm in the weeds of doing that. So there's that sort of piece of how to preserve wealth, maximize, your investments, et cetera. There's also a philanthropy piece. A lot of us are, philanthropic and share in each other's causes. And then there is a piece of it that is just good networking and friendships. We're in a pretty social group. I wish I could be more active in that part of it, but I've got an 8-year-old and I got a busy business. I got a busy life. I'm a coach basketball, so I miss out on a lot of those things, but that's part of it. These guys have dinners, they go on vacations, they do a lot of cool trips and experiences together. So that's Tiger 21.
Exciting. So I think the lesson there is to leverage the groups around you. Now that's very elite, so there are very few people who can get into Tiger 21, but whatever people can do to get access to high net worth individuals and just look around you. I've heard many different gambits, including, most people who are in those networks, they are very rich themselves and just going on the board of various charitable organizations, a lot of things people can do. So don't have to think that, hey, wait, I wasn't born into that network. Many ways to join.
Yeah, 100%. And I highly recommend it. If you want to be successful, there's something to be said to be around successful people. You learn from them, and it makes certain things less intimidating. I mean, I've had a lot of success, but don't take this the wrong way, but I've met people that are hugely successful, and I look at them and I say, he's a sharp guy, but he's not brilliant. Like, I could do that. So it's, you notice these patterns and you say to yourself, look, I see people around me doing these things. I want to do them. It gives you confidence and license to just go out and do it.
Right.
You
Beautiful. Well, let's get back to real estate, but that's fascinating. And again, I think it's very important that people look out and just leverage whatever network you can get into. So you're in a couple of very interesting niches to me. The build to rent you mentioned in Phoenix, and also the student housing. Let's start with build to rent. That's, I think, very exciting because we have a renter nation. And I heard a recent statistic, and I want to say for every $1,000 of home price, that prices out, I want to say, was it something like 1.4% of the population or something like that. It's whatever it is, it's huge. So as long as rates stay high, there are going to be a lot of people renting, and we don't all want to go to an apartment, right? So the build to rent model, we're sort of like a horizontal multifamily where you get your own four walls, you get a little green space, but not too much. And I think that appeals to a lot of people. So tell us about how that came about and what you're doing and why that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I started in single family. So for me, it's a natural. I got rid of my single family portfolio because it was scattered site and we were self-managing it. And it just grew to be, it started as a sideline, then it grew to be like a whole other business, and it was painful. What I realized in the last couple of years is that done right, which is a BTR, built to rent community, it's not scattered site. It was purposely built to be a community. And as you say, it's just four separate walls. That makes a lot of sense. And it is, parts of industrial and parts of BTR is probably the hottest, space in real estate right now. So, we like it. We realize that there's less millennials and Gen Z, Y buying homes. They're renters. This deal in particular, we all know what's happening in Phoenix, just a tremendous amount of job growth, population growth. But even with that, we've seen areas of Phoenix that actually are declining in rent. So you got to buy in the right submarket. You got to buy the right product. You got to buy all the same stuff that we say, with every deal that we look at. So we like BTR. I'm excited about this acquisition, and we're actually negotiating a similar product, townhome style product in Arkansas, as well. So we've got a few irons in the fire looking for those types of opportunities.
Yeah, very exciting. That's something I'm definitely interested in pursuing. Well, another thing that you're very heavily associated with is student housing. And one of the things that I like about things like BTR, student housing, is it's a little harder to get in, as you see this great profusion of students. Each crop of students seems like it's bigger than the last, and the simpler deals are getting a whole lot more overcrowded than maybe some of these more difficult deals. And with student housing, of course, you need some operational and additional. You need a lot of things. Can you help us walk through what does it take? Suppose, hey, I'm in multifamily. I understand the game. I think I'm ready to take on student housing. What am I going to find is different? And what do I need to know? What's going to surprise me?
It's very different. And that's why I like it. I like it from the standpoint, this is going to sound bad, maybe not, but it's a higher barrier to entry. So it keeps a lot of the conventional guys away, because it truly is a different business. It's more of an operational business than normal real estate. It's still real estate, but you've got to have an operational component. So I like it from that standpoint. There's less competition. And then the guys who do venture into it, more often than not, they fail. And we love to come behind those guys and buy those assets when they've tried it and say, I've had enough of student, I want to go back to conventional. In fact, we did that last year, bought a deal at University of Florida, Gainesville. That's been an absolute home run. And that's exactly the same story. Guys who ventured into it, we're not operating it well. We came in. So a little bit of background. So I have a good friend that's also based here out of Chicago, who has been in the business for 25 years. He's got his own third-party property management company. We partner with him. He gets a piece of the deal, and he is an outstanding operator. Also, his second in command left the property management world, wanted to come to the ownership side. So we've got a lot of expertise with Colton and our team as well. So you have to understand it. It's a different business. You have to, while you and I may look at a conventional opportunity and look at population growth, employment growth, you're looking at student with a different lens. You're looking at enrollment growth. You're looking at what's driving that enrollment growth. You're looking at university's master plan. You're looking at a supply and demand curve as well. Is there more product coming to the market? How many students are there? Is that supply going to eclipse the amount of students? So you're constantly gauging that supply demand. And then where are you in the market? Are you at the very top at $1,400 a bed, or are you more affordable or $700 or $800 a bed? So there's a lot of nuances and maneuvering. And then operating student housing, you have to understand the student demographic. I mean, because you're giving them an experience. Not that you're not doing that with conventional, but it's much more interactive with the students on a daily basis. You've got resident events, you've got all kinds of things going on. You have roommate problems that you're dealing with. I mean, you name it, we've seen it, but that's what I mean. It's very hands-on. And if you don't know that profile of renter and how to deal with them, how to keep them happy and give them a great experience, you're not going to do well in the business.
Now, do you have in-house management for this?
So we're technically third party, but as I say, we have in-house asset managers. So I've got a guy on my team I brought over from Blackstone. He's got 15, 16 years in conventional multifamily. We've got Colton on our team who came over from property management. We asset manage very, very intensely, direct with onsite on a daily basis. So we're talking to leasing manager, maintenance, but we basically use third-party property managers for the back office and administrative.
Yeah, great. And so then let's flesh out the list. So I know some other things you've mentioned in the past, things that most people wouldn't imagine, like, are freshmen allowed to live on campus? And I understand you're also looking for, say, a great school, growing enrollment, and you're also looking for absorption, which of course that's something that you'd be looking for in any facet of real estate.
That's right. We were looking at, what are the dynamics, and it's crazy because it could change on you. They could allow freshmen to live off campus, and they don't. So you've got to understand kind of
or the size of the incoming freshman class.
That's
There
right.
are all kinds of things you're looking into that an ordinary operator wouldn't. And then just underscore, you're buying these in terms of beds, right? Each bed is generating revenue. It's not like doors or keys. We're talking beds.
That's right. And bed typically refers to bedroom. So we don't do double occupancy. So it's and we also typically try to only buy equal bed bath parity. So if it's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 4-bedroom, 4-bath, you got to have your own bathroom. On occasion, we'll do some 4-3s where a couple of the bedrooms will naturally share a bathroom at a lower per bed cost. But our preference and the trend of where students want to be is equal bed bath parity. The other dynamic, which is really interesting that we've noticed and now are much more attuned to, is the demographic of the students. Is it a blue collar Midwestern school that attracts, kind of a blue collar family and student, or is it an affluent, demographic? So on the, you might be able to get in on a price per bed level inexpensively on a blue collar school, but you're not going to grow your rents as high. Versus you're going to pay more to get into a more affluent school, but you'll generally be able to push rents significantly higher. So even more dynamics to just really understand and engage.
Well, I love what you're saying about the barriers to entry, because that's exactly why I'm asking these questions. I'm looking at all these niches myself and trying to figure out what happens if things get twice as crowded. Well, look, I plan to be already at the exits, albeit build to rents or continuing hotel to multifamily conversions, something that takes a little something more just to get in the door. But do you have any, are there any myths about student housing that you'd like to explode today?
Yeah. the biggest one is that everybody thinks that kids are just going to go to school online, that they don't want to pay for tuition, that higher education is shifting and changing. Not true. And the data supports it. What there is, it's a consolidation. So you have the junior colleges, the smaller schools, tier 3 schools, those are struggling because if you're a student, you're saying to yourself, look, if I'm going to invest in a college education, should I go to a tier 3 or I could just go to school online? That's a competition. So what's happening, those guys, instead of going to school online or going to a tier 3 school, they're going to the larger schools. So the larger schools, great sports programs, great academics, even a great climate. You have a school in Florida. Their enrollment has been record enrollment and really a safe and steady asset class. And the other thing most people don't realize, student housing does better in recessions and softer times because kids go back to school and they stay in school longer. So you watch the news and you say, oh my God, it's COVID. People aren't going to school or going to school online. You just assume student housing has been affected negatively. We've had record years.
Right. You've done great through COVID, correct? Right. You had guarantors, right? The parents are still guaranteeing. Kids expect to go back next semester, so they just stayed. And as far as I understand, there was really not a whole lot of negative impact, although you might have been predicted.
Yeah, I mean, it was unnerving, but we quickly saw that people continued to pay, and most kids stayed on campus. They don't want to go mom and dad's basement. They wanted to stay on campus with their friends.
All right, so now I want to make a new section here. Let's talk about living an awesome life. So we talked about Tiger 21. That's really cool. I know about 7 months ago, you had a goal of reading only non-business books for a year. So how's that going?
Terrible. Terrible. I wish I read more books. What I tend to do is listen to, I don't even have the attention span to listen to a 45-minute podcast. So I listen to these little snippets. I listen to my 2-3 minute TikTok videos on topics that I'm interested in. I've been listening a lot about nutrition, living sort of an optimal, healthy life. I'm pretty focused on working out. I'm on this whole new supplement program with age-defying doc. I'm in the gym with a trainer 3 days a week. So I'm either kind of trying to get that part of my life really, really shored up and dialed, or it's finance, investments, real estate. So I wish I was more interesting, but I'm not.
I don't believe that. I'm very interested in fitness myself. So I've got my own diet. I haven't talked about it on the podcast yet, but I'm eating boiled chicken, a pound of lettuce, lentils, and it's just total whole food, but it's made me feel so good that even I injured myself, haven't been walking and exercising in the cardio, but you wouldn't know from my blood work because I'm just eating whole foods.
That's awesome. Yeah. I've been doing getting blood work every 90 days, and it's been phenomenal because the old expression, you can't, whatever the expression is, if you can't measure it, you can't change it.
Right.
Something along those lines. So it's been really cool to see all my different markers move with diet and exercise and all that.
I love that. That's a great tip. All right. And then one last one just for fun. So I understand you're into catching really big fish. So any new big ones on the line?
No, I haven't fished since this summer, but I'm going to this next coming summer. My kid loved it. And as I think I mentioned, we built a lake house in Wisconsin. So we'll be doing some fishing, with a guide, because I can't do it myself.
Okay. That's good. That's good. I got my kids into it really young, and I got one who he'd always catch something, but it was like a panfish. And then I said, well, son, let's go and charter fish. And he's not into it. He just wants to play video games. So I know he's missing something. If he comes out there for one day and we go charter fishing, I think he'll be hooked. Yeah,
it was a cool experience. I'm not a fisherman, but I will do whatever it takes to just spend time with my kid.
All right. That's beautiful. All right. Now here are the 7. These are the questions I ask every interview. Rapid fire formats. If
Oh,
you
man.
could be known for only one thing, what would it be?
Good husband and good father.
What's the greatest lesson in leadership you've learned as an entrepreneur?
Be a great mentor to your team. Don't rule with that iron fist. Partner with them and be a mentor.
What personal characteristic has been most pivotal to your success?
Don't take no for an answer. It's the grit. Just keep pushing. No fear.
All right, now I had to reach down to grab my mystery random questions. We'll take a nod to the randomness of the universe. So just tell me when to stop cutting the deck.
Stop.
All right. Which celebrity would you most like to see in person?
Wow. Salma Hayek. No, don't tell my wife that. No, I mean, I would like to. I almost did a couple months ago, but I almost met Sam Zell. I was invited to an event. He's a Chicago guy, so I'd love to sit down with Sam and chat with him one-on-one.
Wow, that's a great pick. I read his book. I forget what was it? Oh, Am I Being Too Subtle?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's hilarious. I'm sure that would be a great lunch or meeting. Name a book that's helped to forge you as a leader and as an entrepreneur, and why?
I'm not going to have a good answer. There is no one book. I'm not the one book kind of guy that changed my life and changed my career. It is a number of books, and I always find a good nugget from something I read. Even if I think the book was fluff, there's always some nugget. And I kind of take that philosophy about life. Like, I'll take a meeting, a coffee or a virtual meeting with someone, and I'm like, God, that guy was an idiot. But that was that one thing that he said was really interesting.
I love it. We're going to have a lot of clips out of this. So there's going to be a lot of things we're going to get today. Describe a failure or misstep and what it taught you.
I lost a lot of money on this is really the only project I've ever lost money in. 2007, 8, 9. I thought I was invincible, and we built an expensive, like $1.7 million spec house at a ski resort. And I mean, this is an obvious lesson, but things can change on a dime, and the subprime, market recession hit. And my reaction to that moment is what I regret. I tried to follow the market down. What I mean by that is people were lowering their pricing, and I was lowering our price a little bit at a time. So I was following the market down rather than leading it down. So in retrospect, I would have said, all right, the price is 1.6. I need to be at 1.4. Sell it now, cut your losses, recognize the market is where it is. And so I didn't react fast enough. And that certainly cost me some dollars. But at the end of the day, we lost some money. We used the tax write-off. And as I said before, we're well capitalized, so it didn't hurt.
All right, so take your bath now. I think that's the lesson.
Yeah.
All right, can you give us a quote to help forge our listeners as leaders and entrepreneurs?
Oh man, you're killing me. I'm just not a quote guy. Well, I'll give you. How about the quote from my CFO? We'll recycle that.
Yeah.
Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Okay, that'll do. So, how can our listeners reach out to you?
So our website is ashlandcapitalfund.com. We're not a fund, by the way. That's another story. ashlandcapitalfund.com. And my email is alix with an I, ALIX @ashlandcapitalfund.com.
All right, outstanding. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your knowledge and experience with our audience, Alex.
Thanks, George. It was fun.